Now, thank you for joining this broadcast. We want to quickly, begin to contribute to deepening our, our democracy and, the culture of our public officials, in the conduct of their personal business and the business of state. Now, just recently, about few hours ago, less than 24 hours to be specific, it has been on the news that uh, our ebullient and you know uh, forceful, as you may like to call him, uh, loquacious labor minister, in the person of Festus Keyamo san, uh, you know, sent a letter to the Department of State Services, the DSS, calling for the arrest of uh, Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Now, you will agree with me that for whatever it is, based on INEC data, about you know 70 something, about, should I say, 71 million, based on Bloomberg statistics, 71 million Nigerians out of the 93 million Nigerians that registered to vote are youth. Now, this, a larger part of this youth demography are considered to be supporters of Mr. Peter Obi. Now, beyond being a larger chunk of supporters of Mr. Peter Obi, this same category or this same demography, uh, the youth demography, are considered to be very active, on social media, particularly on Twitter. And of course, Twitter is a social media blog site where you share news, connect with friends, and importantly, connect with businesses. Because based on the statistics of the social media platform that we have, Twitter is where blue chip companies, chief executive officers, and of recent, top ranking government officials and journalists, interact. And so uh, it's a platform where you can advertise your goods and services with some certainty of getting some traction. And so it becomes very, very intriguing, to see our 53-year-old Minister of State for Labor, Festus Keyamo san, to write a letter to the DSS on his letter-headed paper. Now, I want you to, pay attention to this. He didn't write that letter on the letter-headed paper of the presidential campaign council of the All Progressive Congress Party, where he served or continues to serve as the spokesperson. He did not send that letter to the DSS in his capacity as the Minister of Labor, where he is officially been appointed by the president based on our extant, laws, as we're going to show you um, very quickly. He sent that letter on the letter-headed paper of his own law firm, on his own law firm. Now, what does that signify? Festus Keyamo is a federal minister. Now, let us give you a brief background of, um, you know, what are the expected code of conduct for a federal minister. Now, the code of conduct for public officers, as stipulated in our constitution under the code of conduct schedule, it stipulates that section 1 stipulates that a public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts with his duties and responsibilities. His personal interest conflicts with his duties and responsibilities. Now, it is also very glaring, you know, for us now to think or to conclude that Festus Keyamo has violated this provision. Now, what do we mean by that? By sending out that letter, that petition to DSS on his own law firm's letter-headed paper, Festus Keyamo has violated this provision of the Code of Conduct because he has put his personal interest, in conflict with his duties as a federal minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and as a spokesperson for the, APC. What do we mean? 80% of consumers purchase goods after seeing it on social media. 80%. 80%. So it implies that in social media, and may I also announce to you that as we are making this broadcast, over 2.4 million people have come across this letter-headed paper on Twitter based on this petition that Keyamo sent to the DSS. So it goes to tell you that Keyamo is advertising his law firm by using his letter-headed paper to send a letter to the DSS, and not just ending it there, but by advertising it on Twitter. Now, we also know that he didn't just advertise on Twitter, he was on channels, television, most prolific and most watched program, Politics Today. Okay, few hours ago, also ensuring that that letter was broadcasted live on channels television. And if you go to YouTube, you will see that the viewership of that interview where this letter was broadcasted live has clocked hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube alone, talk less of Facebook and other social media channels. On Twitter, we have over 2.3 million viewership that have interacted or engaged with that letter. And this goes to tell you that Keyamo is profiting off, you know, uh, his office as the spokesperson for the All Progressive Congress, as well as the a federal minister, by using, his letter paper to send out that letter. Now, beyond the send of that letter, let's also tell you that because Festus Keyamo was appointed by the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it means that Festus Keyamo will, as a minister, draw his code of his work ethics from the provision of the Constitution that established his appointment. And we can see that in section 147, subsection 1, which say that there shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the president. Okay, now if you look at section 38 of the Constitution, it says that the president shall not, during his tenure of office, hold any other executive office or paid employment in any capacity whatsoever. So it means that Festus Keyamo is supposed to be on leave from his law firm. He's not supposed to continue to work from his law firm because based on the provisions, based on the letter that he sent out to the DSS with his name, of course, is a founder of the law firm, and of course is a practice in the industry. He carries his name and insignias and his signature. This goes to tell you that Festus Keyamo is still holding an executive office at his law firm. And this is a complete violation of our Constitution. And we are asking that relevant authorities should also begin to look into this. Now, we're not just speaking because it is Festus Keyamo. We are speaking because these are pertinent issues that affect the performance of our public officials. When you don't know, you know, um, the the issues that that arises to the level of conflict of interest, it makes them to perform abysmally, because they will prefer to put their personal interest above the public interest. And that is why corruption is still the order of the day in the country, because people local government level. And this is why we are doing this broadcast, so that we can begin to call, to the awareness of people, to increase the consciousness of Nigerians on how we can begin to address this issue with our public officials, you know, um, carrying out personal business interests in their official capacity, whether as minister, as president, or as governor, or as commissioners, or as even local government officials. So this is a precarious situation, and it calls for urgent action. And we are asking you, to join us in this campaign, to call out, issues of conflict of interest in our government. Let us call out issues of conflict of interest in our government at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level, to ensure that public officials use public funds and use public paraphernalia for the purpose of public good. Are you getting me now? Public officials who use public fund and public paraphernalia, that is their office and whatever that accompanies that very office, for the purpose of public good. That is the essence of the appointment or the election. And so as we move toward, you know, the coming administration, whatever God is going to bring our way in terms of who is going to be the president-elect will be eventually inaugurated, and of course there is a court case that is ongoing. We will see how the court case goes. But in the meantime, whoever is there, let us establish a standard of operation, a standard of ethics. Let us establish some ethical standard that people will begin to live by, people will begin to walk by on a daily basis, and ensure that we reduce the amount of corruption in the system. Help us to share this message, like it, comment. Let us hear your own view. Did Festus Keyamo flout the law? Remember, Festus Keyamo is a labor minister, is a minister of state for labor, and we expect that he should know better. We expect that he should know better, and so we are asking: did he violate, the provisions of our constitution? Did he violate the provisions of the code of conduct? Let us know what your views are in the comment section. Until next time, we'll see you again.